once again. Unfortunately, the highlight I did when I did my guide turned out I muted my mic instead of my cap card. So not only did I export my VOD without me doing my guide, it got copyrighted, so I had to delete that. So this time the mic is on, and we will get this guide right. So my apologies to everyone that was expecting this, and my apologies to YouTube. Hopefully this will not happen again. Usually I try to make sure I have some audio talking while I'm doing streaming to avoid copyright issues. So that was kind of my fault and everything else. But anyway, we're going to do a take 3 of Final Fantasy V job guide for beginners, and we're going to be covering the Bard. So this guide is going to be meant for beginners and newcomers that are getting into Final Fantasy V. And the Bard is the last job that we, ironically, I failed to do the other day. So we're going to be covering the Bard today. And the Bard is one of the 5 jobs you get for the Fire Crystal. And like the Ranger, you'll get this after you encounter the Black Chocobo and have it spit it out. So the Bard, along with the Geomancer, are actually one of the easiest jobs to master. It's more based on magic and agility than anything else. But at the same time, it's got the second worst magic and modifier and has the second worst stamina modifier, to be honest. So therefore, the Bard will not survive. It does have the ability Hide to help with its survivability, but your real purpose of using the Bard is mostly its singing and songs. So each of these songs will help you get you either buffed up or inflict status ailments. So unlike the last attempt, we're actually doing the one file from my Forge Out Fiesta guide instead. So the Bard's modifiers are -8 on strength, +8 on agility, -9 on stamina, and +11 on magic. So it's more geared towards magic in general, but it doesn't have very high modifiers because even Geomancer, which is the second fastest job to master, has 24 magic plus 24 magic modifier, which is actually better than the Bard's. But technically, it's somewhat of a very fast job, but it pales in comparison to Rangers, Ninjas, Mystic Knights, and Thieves in general, since they have way higher agility than the Bard. And basically, for Bard, you're definitely going to be relying this job to basically be used in long-term battles. Once you get songs that let you consistently sing, like Hero's Rhyme, Swinu Inti, Mount Ospian, and Swift Song, among others. So basically, if you do plan to use Bards, you're going to need jobs to protect it, like the Knight, or even the Summoner's Golem, which you'll probably need to use to protect the Bard. And one of the benefits about running the Bard, even if they get disrupted, the effects from their songs are still in effect until the battle ends. So your Bard will stop singing if they get attacked, silenced, or KO'd. And one interesting thing about the singing is that if they get turned into zombies, they'll still continue to sing. So that'll be a huge benefit if they try to zombify your Bard, because that means your Bard will continue to sing regardless. But technically, even if they get stopped, you'll still have the temporal bonuses from the songs in general. So anyway, we're going to cover the abilities next for the Bard. It learns 3 abilities. And the first one we're going to see here is the ability Hide. So Hide is the first ability you get for Bard after you accumulate 25 ABP. And this ability allows you to remove your Bard or character out of battle until their next turn. So this is actually good for Bards or any of your jobs that are actually don't have very high stamina stats. So that way you can keep them out of the harm's way and then have them reappear when you need them to support with singing or pitch in to help out. One good thing about using Hide is that you'll be able, if all of your party members use Hide, it gives you another option to run away from battles. But technically, you don't want to be running away too many battles because you won't get stronger just doing that. Equip Harps is the Next ability you get after accumulating 50 ABP, and basically you gain the ability to equip harps. So harps are very interesting, is that they're very effective against gigantic or huge monsters, but the damage is very minuscule. The damage formula is based on your job's magic mod, your party member's magic stat against the defender's defense. So that's why the harps don't really do a whole lot of damage. They do a little bit more damage against bigger foes, but the only harp in the entire game that actually ignores this rule is the Apollo's harp, and that does like frictional damage instead. So technically, the Apollo's harp, which is the sealed weapon of the game, is actually one of the best weapons to get if you're going to plan to run bards as attackers of some degree, because Apollo's harp gives you the ability to inflict undead damage, inflict more damage to undead as well as dragons. So the bard actually gets a little bit more usage with the ability to harm undead as well as dragons later on. Of course, by the time you get into Part 3 of Final Fantasy V, most of the enemies will be pretty much be dragons instead of undead, and Part 2 in Goluf's world has mostly undead enemies. So basically, you'll have your bard will get a lot more mileage in both Parts 2 and 3 than they do in Part 1. And the final ability you get in Bard is its signature ability, Sing. Sing, of course, allows you to perform Amarada songs. Four of them allow you to continuously sing them until you get attacked, silenced, or KO'd, while some of the others will give you different effects, such as a variety of buffs or debuffs on enemies. So anyway, that covers basically all the abilities and stats of the Bard. So we're going to cover the songs that we learn as Bards. So the way that's done, of course, is that you'll usually get them from minstrels, but there are certain instances where certain songs you'll have to do by playing the pianos or talk to minstrels or search out certain areas to find them. So we're going to get out of this, go to Magic, then Access Sing. So anyway, you'll learn a grand total of 8 songs during the course of the game. So the first one we're going to be covering is Swinui Etude. My apologies if it's not said correctly. And you'll get this song when you go to Cursant after playing 7 pianos. So in other words, you won't get access to this song until after you get to Part 3, which is the merged world, and played 7 pianos. So basically what it does is it basically raises your party's strength to 99. Now, some versions of Final Fantasy V do allow you to build up your stats up to 255. But I'm assuming the Pixel Remaster lets you go up to 99. So basically this will give you... this is a very good way to build up your physical party attackers. So if your party is mostly physical attackers in a Forge FPS and you got a bard, you could definitely whip out this song and just use that to boost up everyone's attack power damage, build up their strength to 99. Switch Song, of course, also falls into the same category as Swinui Etude. You'll get this one after you read Xerxes' journal in his room in Suregate Castle. And this basically allows you to raise your party's agility up to 99 as long as the song continues. So basically that gives you more chances to get more turns before the enemy does. This basically, agility of course affects your ATB meter, by the way. So Mighty March is next. You'll get this after talking to the minstrel in Cursant after playing the piano in his room for the first time. So you can get this one in Part 1. So basically this allows you to bestow regen status onto the entire party. Unfortunately, regen in Final Fantasy V is not very reliable, unlike later games, which actually got way better. But given the fact that this is the debut of that spell in this game, this is actually a decent way to get some passive healing. But technically, you're more better off doing cure spells in general. But in hindsight, though, regen gets a heck lot better in later installments in the Final Fantasy series. But anyway, it's there if you need some more additional healing. Manas Peon is next. You'll get this from one of the books at the Library of Ancients on the rooftop. So there's actually one that tells you where to get blue magic combos for certain jobs with it. And then there's a possessed book, and then there's one that teaches you the song. Now you can either get this in part one, or you have to wait until part three when the worlds merge to get this. But keep in mind that you do need to get this before the Library of Ancients gets sent to the void in part three, because you won't have another chance at this again. So this will either be available on part one or at part three. But technically, just like Sinuate, Etude, and Swift Song, this, as long as the singer doesn't get attacked, this will raise your party's magic to 99. So if you got a team of spellcasters, this is a very good song to support them with in general. So as long as they don't get attacked, you can see your spell damage and healing increase to crazy levels. The next song we're going to cover is Hero's Rhyme. So you can get this song once you talk to the minstrel and curse it after playing all 8 pianos. So all these pianos will be available pretty much in, most of them will be in Worlds 1 and 2, with the last one being available in Mirage Village in Part 3. So once you played all of them, go back to Cursin and talk to the minstrel that has his own piano, and he'll give you this last one. So you'll probably get Sinewy Etude and Hero's Rhyme pretty much at the same time, pretty much. So if he doesn't give you both of these songs right away, you'll have to talk to him again to get the Hero's Rhyme. Hero's Rhyme basically allows you to raise your party's levels as long as your singer doesn't get attacked up to level 99. So basically that actually ramps up your current stats when your party members' levels go up. And even after they get disrupted, whatever level gains you gain from that song stay with you up until that battle ends. So basically, this is a very good way to make your party insanely strong. I can tell you from first-hand experience from playing from the recent 4-Job Fiesta this year that this song is definitely bonkers, especially during the fight with Neo X stuff. Requiem is a song that you'll get from talking to one of the werewolves near the back cave of Kulb in World 2. And basically, this song allows the bard to become an undead slayer, pretty much, along with Apollo's harp. So basically, it's also your offensive song that you get in the entire game. It has a magic power of 225 and deals piercing damage to all undead enemies, and can even inflict sap status on them as well. So this only applies to undead enemies, so if you try to use it on a living enemy, that will not work at all. But it's a very effective tool to combat the undead, especially there's tons of undead monsters during Part 2 of Galoof's World, especially the Mount Drakville, and when you're trying to rescue the golem from the monsters. So it's definitely pays to have access to Requiem for dealing with the undead monsters, because unfortunately you won't be able to use the Phoenix Downs on them due to the fact that the heavy status they have. So this is actually a very good song to have to combat the undead for the most part. I would strongly recommend getting this when you get to Club as soon as you can. Romeo's Ballad is the next song that we're going to be learning, and you'll get this in part 1 when you talk to the bard / minstrel in Istori after being kicked out of the sheep enclosure by a sheep. And basically, this gives you the ability to inflict stop temporarily on enemies, and has an accuracy of 99. So this song right here is the key to defeating Omega. So if you have 3 party members with Sane Command, they can keep Omega indefinitely immobilized for your party member with Spellblade and Rapid Fire as a freelancer to easily destroy him with Thundaga blades. So technically, this is one of the best status element songs you do get in the entire game. There's quite a few enemies that are susceptible to stop, and the fact that Omega is vulnerable to it is actually a big deal. So if you're having any problems dealing with Omega, strongly consider getting Sing and get Romeo's Ballad as soon as you can. Luckily, you'll get this when you talk to the werewolf in Kulub near the back gates. So it's not hard to miss this. Oh, actually, never mind. I'm thinking of Requiem. My bad. Sorry, you'll have to forgive me. that can be confusing sometimes. I'm not a very good speaker, but I am trying to overcome my weaknesses. So anyway, given the fact that as long as you go to a story before you leave part one in Bart's world, you'll definitely have this, and this will be very useful for any enemies that are vulnerable to stop, and will be very useful if you're playing the challenge Omega. Alluring Air is the last song we get for Bart's. We have to talk to the minstrel that's living in Bart's old home in Lix after we examine the music box and see the scene that occurs. So after that, you talk to the minstrel and he'll teach you the Alluring Air. So basically, this song allows you to inflict confuse on enemies and has an accuracy of 99. So unfortunately, most enemies in later parts of the game will be immune to confuse, but it's very good earlier on for those that are not immune. But technically, given the fact that later in the game it's kind of useless, it's rather pointless. And since you want to be using songs that allows you to basically buff up your team instead, that's kind of Alluring Air becomes more of a novelty than actual usefulness. Because even Romeo's Ballad actually gets some more mileage than Alluring Air does. Alright, so that covers basically all the abilities and songs you get as the Bard. So if you are planning to run a Bard and take advantage of the ability boosting abilities, I recommend having either a Knight with access to cover and guard, and probably keep your Bard at low HP to keep them protected from physical attacks, as well as have access to or have an access to a summoner with access to Golem. Because Golem allows you to block it just about every physical attack as long as it doesn't go over the caster's HP for the most part. But having both of these jobs will be very useful in protecting your Bard for the most part. Now, unfortunately, there's not many options you can consider throwing any other abilities from other jobs for Bards. But if you are, given the fact that if you are going to be using stat boosting songs, they won't be able to do anything until they get access to until they stop seeing it. But if you do have a white mage on your team, you can definitely cast Blink on them to give them some evasion. You can also consider giving them the Mirage Vest for the most part. But technically, if you are going to be giving bards anything that allows you to cast spells that are actually pretty good, like Blue Magic, Gaia from Geomaster, Blue Magic from Blue Mage, Black Mage, White Mage, Red Magic, and Summon Magic can pretty much do pretty nicely for your Bard. Of course, Bards can equip knives too, so if you want to give them spell blades for silencing and putting enemies to sleep, that's also another good option as well. Of course, given the fact that they have access to hide, and you want to get out, since they have a little bit more speed, they can also take advantage of the ninja's smoke command if you want them to, or the scram from the thief. That will be very good if you want them to take full advantage of it. Or otherwise, you can just use hide. There's not really a whole lot of abilities Bards can use in general, or at least what I can think of. Of course, if you want them to continue with support issues, giving them white magic or time magic will be definitely a good ideal for the most part. Of course, if you want to take it one step further with songs, you can give them the Chemist Mix so they can contribute to basically contributing as a support unit for the most part, and give them some interesting buffs in addition to other stuff. You can also give them any of the other abilities in general from the Chemist if you want to make them a little bit more versatile. And of course, if you're going for final gear for Bards, this is basically what you should have. So basically, you'll want to have Apollo's Harp. This allows you to basically deal more damage against the undead and dragons. Since by the time you get into Part 3, there's not going to be a whole lot of undead enemies to fight outside the Pyramid of Moor and a few other areas. But in the final areas, there's going to be a lot more dragons. So you can take full advantage of Apollo's Harp in this case. So you'll be able to... So Bards actually get a little bit more damage opportunities thanks to Apollo's Harp's damage formula calculations. Of course, Circlet is pretty much the best helmet they can get, as well as either the white or black robes. It really depends on what you're going to be aiming for. If you want them to be more geared to magic and you want to have spell magics from other jobs, white magic would be definitely good, or black robes. So white or black robes are definitely good options. Of course, most players will definitely would want to get Hermes sandals equipped to their party members, so they don't have to permanently cast haste on other party members. But anything that actually gives you some advantages will probably be very useful. And of course, if you're more worried about them dodging physical attacks, giving them the Elven Mantle, or even giving them the Samurai Shidori is also a good option too, because technically you do not want your bards to be having their songs disrupted, and even though you'll retain those buffs even after that gets stopped. Of course, if you want them to hit 99 or whatever, you're definitely going to want some protection. So Shidori's going to be something you'll definitely want to pick up for bards too. All right, so that concludes my guide for Bard, and I will reload the highlight again once I get done here. So my apologies for those of you that are just hoping to see me have it available right now. But if I hadn't realized if I had checked to see if my game audio was muted and all that before I did all this and sent it over there, I probably would not have been doing this again. But anyway, once the VOD's ready for highlighting, I will highlight it again and send it over to YouTube. I will be back tomorrow for Xenoblade Chronicles X Definite Edition, and we're going to be going back to Mira. So anyway, you all have a great evening. I'm RotorStorm331 signing off. Have a great day. Take care, and I will see you.